Welcome to TLC for the Soul podcast, where soul meets spirit. You have entered into sacred space. I'm your host, TAMI Chambers, and I'm here to help you shine. Now let's get going on this podcast journey.
Sundays, welcome. Get a cuppa and join me for our story, our week ahead energy, and who knows what else. Hello, friends. Hello, and welcome to Sunday morning Bringers of the Light. I'm excited to have you here. I am actually filming this, so it's not, I'm just testing to see how I like also filming this for the podcast on YouTube. So we will see how this goes, but welcome everyone in podcast land, no matter where you're at. So you get to see this as a little visual today as well. If you're on any of our podcast providers and you want to actually see what we're working with, you can pop over to YouTube and catch us over there live and in front of the camera. All right, so I have my little morning drink, and I have donut shop decaf coffee with 3 different milks, like silk almond milk vanilla flavor, Ripple unsweetened regular milk, plant-based milk, and a little bit of coconut, eggnog flavored coconut milk. I don't know, so join me with a cuppa. If you are new here, which there are so many new people adding themselves into the community, so I want to welcome you here. We've talked about this before. We won't go into it right now, but energy streams have opened up, and we're going to have a whole lot of people joining the community. So if you're an OG, which I know some of you, I had forgotten some of you were out there. Some of you have been commenting lately, and I'm like, oh my God, that sister is still here, or that person's still here, that soul family member that's been here. Wow. One person that commented the other day has been around since almost the beginning of the TLC for the Soul journey, like 6 years ago, almost that long. So thank you for continuing to join us. And I know many of you have been around quite a while. So welcome. Our little community is growing a little bit, but I want to welcome everyone in. So here's the scoop. Here's what we do here if you're new here. So first of all, for those of you that are new, my name is TAMI Chambers. I'm an author, artist, and master healer. I work in many different modalities and in many different mediums. I'm an author of what I call, it is channeled fiction and nonfiction books. Everything I talk about here, the links are always in all the show notes, but all of my ebooks, fiction and nonfiction, are free to read. I make oracle decks and tarot decks, and those links to all those are out there, although everything I've made is not out there for sale. Some decks I have not. And then I don't know, we've got these channels. We're branching out into some other things later on. So there's a lot going on here at TLC for the Soul. Right now, we're doing Bringers of the Light Sunday. So what we do there is, well, we just want to kind of come and have like a hangout with you guys. And I've committed to try once a month to do a live, to do the podcast live over on Instagram. So we have that. But as I'm working on a fiction book or whatever book I'm working on, I bring in some of the chapters into these Sunday mornings. So they are, the intent for all of my books is multifaceted and multidimensional. So whatever chapter we bring in is always got messages for the week ahead, or messages, things you need to hear right now for where you're at on your journey. So it just always works out that way, that because that's the intention that I've set. All my books are light infused, rainbow essenced. They're meant to be like healing workbooks in addition to just being a fiction story. So we've always said this from the beginning on the podcast is you partake in these things that I have to offer, that we have to offer, that me and my team have to offer here at TLC for the Soul. in whatever way works best for you. If you want to just read these things as like a fun story or listen to them, I have audiobooks for some of them on the podcast and on the website. There's playlists for everything. If you just want to like partake in them as a fun story, Bringers of the Light is a series now. I did finally go in and count yesterday. So I have 5 Bringers of the Light books published. Some of them aren't very long. Some of them are longer. I've got a soulmate series of books. I've got a series called the Thunder Rose Collection. I've got a series called Shaman's Awakening, and a series called The Spirit Guides of Tessa, Loch, which is what we're going to work with today. So for those of you that spent many Sundays with us over the past few months, I finally finished the sea mist in. You know, I can sea foam in. I finally finished the sea foam in over the past couple of weeks, and I'm just doing some final edits, and then I will be publishing that ebook out there probably sometime next week. So if you followed along with the story and you wondered what happens at the end, it was very interesting, and the Sea Foam Inn is a very interesting place to visit in your meditations, especially if you're working on calling in relationships. This week, though, we're bringing back the Spirit Guides of Tessa, Loch, because I want to work on this story. So I have many, many books that are kind of half-started, many bits of fun little pieces of prose that need to get finished. And for me, the best way to do it is to kind of work on them with you guys. It kind of holds me accountable because I'm like, maybe somebody wants to listen to these things or read them or whatever. So it's just more fun to do it this way too than to just sit down and write by myself and then put it out there. It seemed kind of boring. So, all right, the other thing we're going to do is we're sitting at the tarot table. This is usually the location that I use every morning. I do post like a daily short for what the daily energy feels like for you. I do that on Instagram, TikTok, and on TLC for the Soul YouTube. I do have 2 other YouTube channels, but I'm just letting those sit right now. I'm not doing too much with them. So the cards that came out, a couple of the cards they want me to focus on that came out this morning, we're going to draw a couple of more, and then we will get into the chapter. We'll give a little background of the book that we're writing now, so you can get a sense for where we're at. And as I always say with these, you know, whether you're listening or watching, especially if you're listening because you have nothing to look at, you just have the sound of my voice. And but I am going to show a few cards, so I will do my best to describe those to you. But as always, listen, watch with your master senses, invite in your guides. You know, I know a lot of people say that they put me on in the background when they're like working or doing stuff, or especially when they're doing like creative work. I don't know. I guess that just helps, you know. It's kind of fun that I'm in the background as like beautiful art, people painting beautiful artwork and doing beautiful work in their divine service work have me on in the background. So we're kind of like with each other, you know, holding space for each other's creative work and for each other's service work. But the 2 days in a row, we got this card from the Archangel Michael pack called Deeper Insights Are at Hand. And last night, from Brian Froud's fairy deck, I drew is it the Maiden? Yeah, the Maiden, but it's all about like letting your inner child fly free. So in order to, and then the message this morning was embarking on kind of a new journey. And I don't know if any of you are wondering, because I do use some very beautifully illustrated books as backgrounds for the daily shorts. But the one we've been working with this week has been the Gulliver's Travels with, this artist is so beautiful. Yoshi Miyake is the artist of this particular book. So this is Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. And this artist is just beautiful artwork, but it's very hard. I think I don't know if she's still doing artwork, but it's very hard to find her art. I think this is maybe a little bit older person now. This book is 1989. And I think she was more active like in the 80s and 90s. So we're using Gulliver's Travels in the backgrounds of the dailies. The other thing I got is I finally got in. So if you watched the, what was it I did? The Seraphim's Gateway attunements, which are for this time period right now. So you haven't watched those or listened to those. They're everywhere. It's on the podcast and on YouTube. Those are rainbow body attunements. And we referenced the Lemurian Star Child Oracle, which I didn't have at the time, but I finally, I don't know if I put it up there with a barcode be freaking out. I finally got the deck. So this deck is very interesting to me. This is the pocket version. And I know if you're listening, you can't really see it, but you could go take a look at it. It's gold edged, so beautiful. I think it's 88 cards. But what I find about the makers of the deck is, obviously they were twin flames. They're Lemurian Star Children. But one is the artist and one is kind of techie, I feel like. And so I really feel like that's the energies. This deck called out to me because I want to do the Knights and Ladies series for those of you that are looking for love people that want to find your truly aligned to you other half or your partner. And so I was going to pick another deck and I had my eyes all set on getting this other deck, and Lemurian Star Child just kept saying, my guide just kept saying Lemurian Star Child, Lemurian Star Child. And I was like, oh, I've been wanting that deck, but I hadn't really, thought about it. And then the energies of the new earth that we're trying to work with now are this combination of environments or dimensions. So I always personally, you may see it totally different, it's fine. But personally saw Lemuria as more of, it's earth-based, it's very like Garden of Eden. There wasn't a lot of technology there. I think there was technology, but it's not the technology that we were thinking of. It was more star family technology, not so much like AI type of technology. Now, when I think of Atlantis, I think of more AI technology, very heavy, yes, starseed based technology that helped run that space and that place that was called Atlantis. And the makers of this deck feel like they're like a combo of both. And I really truly feel like this new earth now, to be truly successful, is meant to be like this Garden of Eden, but with a little bit of tech at the same time, but not tech overrunning like Blade Runner or something, something where tech over something, or Space Odyssey, where tech overran everything. There's got to be this beautifully aligned, perfectly balanced Garden of Eden with some spiritually based technology meshed and weaved in. And that's what I feel like the makers of this deck are, because the deck is like amazing artwork. It was very hard for us to find a gallery of good artwork. There's a few flip throughs on YouTube, but to go to like Google search and find art from the deck, it's very shrouded in, I'm getting big chills. Okay, let me just do this really quick. Before I go any further, let me wrap us all in love light and light love. I know they're already here, but for the benefit of those listening, inviting in the guides who overlight this work that is TLC for the soul, Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, the Pleiadians, all of my guides, all of my Ravendale guides, everybody I work with, but just to help keep the filters as high vibe as possible. And for those of you who listen for a while, there's the sun. It's very cold out today. There was some snow yesterday. You can kind of see it out the window over here. Thankfully, we've gotten the States, the U.S. has gotten like, I think, a reprieve from like this heavy winter snow. Last year seemed like everywhere was just inundated with like feet and feet and feet and feet of snow. And we did get some snow. It was our first snowfall. So a month later than we typically do. And I see other people that I follow around the U.S., upper U.S., saying the same thing, like, there's no snow here yet. This is so weird. And I hear the locals here in town talking about, this is the weirdest winter ever. There's hardly anything going on. And so we did have a snowstorm The winds were very intense. The winds are always very intense. But I was like praying to the weather spirits. And so we only got like 3 or 4 inches of snow, but it's really cold right now. It's like, oh, it's not really cold. It's going to get a lot colder, but it's 15 right now. So I don't want to be up on the trail just because I don't want to be up there right now. But anyway, back to this deck. I feel like it's a combo because the deck is beautiful with the artwork, but on the back, he put a barcode, a QR code, and it's just very artfully done in there. I mean, if I put it up here, is it going to do? No. Okay. So it's a QR code because the deck doesn't come with a book. But he got all techie. I think this is her partner, the artist partner, got all techie and did a QR code, and their website's very techie too, and put a QR code so that you can scan the back of every card and it goes straight to their website, exactly to the page of the book that's for the card. So I thought that was very clever. That speaks to me because I like to be techie too. So let's do this before we go any further and I stop talking so much. All right, let's get a couple of cards for the week ahead. This is all about the week ahead. And then we're going to go into the Spirit Guides of Tessa Loch series, and we're going to start working as a little workbook with each other on Sundays, because this is going to bring up things for you on your journey as it arises. We're going to work on the Rose of San Juan Capistrano. So we have one other Rose Spirit Guide book that's already out there. Oh my gosh. I don't even remember the name now. But anyway, it's already out there as a book. It's really fun. And so this will be the second in the Rose series. And for whatever reason, I was just very called. I love roses. I'm going to have a cottage rose garden one day. But I found this on Amazon. It is 100 postcards from the archives of the New York Botanical Garden, and each one has a rose on it. So we may do some little project together, come back on the channel and do some little project, because I thought, oh, I'll make my own oracle deck out of these. They're all like watercolor illustrations of roses. And I tried to look up like each one, and then I thought, okay, I'll just, on the back, since it's a postcard, I'll just put like keywords and do like a little watercolor drawing. And then my watercolor brushes were all messed up and I had to order some watercolor brushes, and I never went any further. So we may get a card from the roses. Right now we're going to work with the City of Dreams Oracle. This is by Jackie Franco, and this is another beautifully rainbow hologram edge deck. It's kind of a small deck. I wish she had made a few more cards. It's only 35 cards, but let's see. So this is for the week ahead, and then we're going to read the chapter and see and pull out the metaphors, because what is this new quest? Something going on with the 12-12. So the 12-12 energies play a lot into what's going on here. Let's see. Oh my God, again. 11-11 has come out. 11-11 came out during the Seraphim's Gateway attunements. I said to everybody, like, this is our twin flame card if you're a twin flame, or this is all about getting really aligned with your purpose, coming into like union with yourself, which came out in the cards. And so we will take that just as a general overall message. 11-11 is also like my Archangel Metatron stepping in to help with higher attunements, higher learning, higher ascension. It's so foggy, but the sun, I can see the sun, the clouds. All right, and let's get a, this is a huge, this is so funny, right? Here's a dichotomy, because this deck is very beautiful. This Jackie Franco deck, 35 cards. The Lemurian Star Child is amazing, and it's 88 cards, so fat, right? So where's the balance there? This deck's almost too big to shuffle. All right, what else do we want to have people know about what's going on right now? Oh my gosh. This is our romance card, right? The Cosmic Self. I said this deck was going to be our deck for our looking for love people. So the Cosmic Self somehow is playing into our Knights and Ladies. Maybe this is the deck we're going to use. The Throat Chakra. All right. And then let's get you up to speed on this story. So many decks, and I need to use this. This is my this is my latest dragon drawing. I post these if you're on the podcast and you want to join us over on Instagram. I do post when I finish like these little drawings. I do post them over on Instagram. I do a lot in my stories. What am I doing here? What was my other book? What was my other book called? Oh yeah. So the first book was called The Rose of Santo Domingo. That is out there. And so now the second in that little series is called The Rose of San Juan Capistrano. Here we go. And I did a drawing of the Rose of Santo Domingo, an little art piece, and I want to do a little art piece for the Rose of San Juan Capistrano. So I don't think I've done that yet. So the Rose of Santo Domingo, let's see if I can find it. The Rose of San Juan Capistrano is a rose of inner power, is what I wrote or what I channeled in. So the way I write my books is it's just all automatic writing. I don't like make plans and outlines and all of that's crazy. There's no writing process other than to create sacred space. One of my spiritual gifts is clairaudience. I just call in my guides. I call in my spirit friends of some of these books and stories that I want to work with. We sit in sacred space. I get the key, usually it's my iPhone. I get my phone out or my tablet. You know, I open up my, whatever it is. What do I take? Google Keep is what I use. And I just listen to what they tell me and I just type out the stuff and that's what comes out here. Okay. So that's how the books are written. They're all channeled. They're all come straight from spirits cosmically through me. I don't know. Through me. Through my cosmic self. Okay, so I'm going to read the first chapter. So this book was already started. I was about 3 chapters in and I kind of set it aside. And so we're going to work with these for this week ahead. The chapter is called Heat and Inner Fire, which I think does play into the upgrades and the things that are happening on the 12/12 to the 12/21. So between the 12/12, which is a new moon, a Mercury retrograde, and some other stuff. I don't know, there's so many crazy planetary alignments. And the winter solstice or summer solstice, depending on where you're at. These huge upgrades that are going on. I know there's a lot of ascension symptoms right now. This morning myself, I was kind of like, oh, I just feel so, like I don't know if I can make it through the day. And I'm like, well, I have to make it through the day because nobody else is going to make it through the day for me. It's like dogs don't get walked and birds don't get fed and kids don't get taken care of. And houses don't get run unless somebody is me, doing it all. So somebody has to do it all. So if you're going to be sick, you have to be sick and still take care of everything. Now, I don't really feel sick. I just feel like there's a little ascension stuff going on, like a little cold. All right. So the Rose of San Juan Capistrano is a rose of inner power. Our players are Rosalie and Calvin O'Hanrahan, who met by divine chance, fate, destiny, divine intervention in the first book, The Rose of Santo Domingo, which is a really fun book. Then we had Rosalie's spirit friends, Catamancy, the cat wizard, Molly McBottoms, the house fae, and Greer, the house elf. So we are now in Tessa, Loch, which is our sister city to Rockaway Point. If you followed all the Bringers to the Light series we've been working in my etheric cities. They're on the coast of the UK, somewhere up there. And these are sister cities or twin cities. Rockaway Point being one where we meet with all the, with Abigail and Dakar and Polly Willikers and Scratchy, which is where the Seafoam Inn is and where a lot of the Bringers of the Light books took place. And this is the Rose of San Juan Capistrano, which takes place in the sister city which is more, so Rockaway Point's more like a seaside town. Tessa Loch is more along the moors and more in the green forests. And that is where this takes place. So without further ado, let's read chapter 1, Heat and Inner Fire. And the way I like to do this is I'll just read the chapter, and then we'll go in and pull out any other metaphors that fit in with the cards that we've drawn, with the messages that we've been getting intuitively about the week ahead, and you can take and use that however you see fit. Chapter 1 is called Heat and Inner Fire. The day was bright and sunshiny, even with the weather forecasting a storm blowing in from Rockaway Point Bay. The tansy rose sat perched atop the windowsill of the inner garden room, and Greer dusted around all the pots of seedling flower babies, assuring that all the little souls inside the flowers felt safe and comfortable. His mistress, Rosalie, was out teaching her gardening class, and his new master of the house, Calvin, was fixing his bow tie and looking quite dapper at that. Okay, so I always wanted like a house elf, like, but not the mean ones from like Harry Potter. I always wanted like a house elf that would be like, come on, man, I just said I do everything by myself. That there's this little, I always like to believe there's this other little, spirit friend who kind of picks up after me or sweeps up, something or throws some things away and helps out when I can't get to everything. What had been a night of complete and utter weirdness a few months ago had blossomed into a full romance, and Calvin and Rosalie had fallen in love, just as the little rose of Santo Domingo had come there to fulfill. So that rose's purpose, now that if I remember correctly, the rose of Santo Domingo was there to help bring Calvin and Rosalie together. So if you're like a looking for love kind of person or romance, obviously all the roses to me are about romance, but you might want to check out the Rose of Santo Domingo, which is, you just need an ebook reader on your device. You'll go to Smashwords, which is my ebook publisher, and you can download that into EPUB file onto your ebook reader, or anywhere, Google Books, Apple Books, Barnes & Nobles, you'll find all my books there. You just can type in my name or TLC for the Soul, and all of my stuff will be everywhere. But now, a new rose was stepping forward, and it had a very different life purpose. The rose of San Juan Capistrano sat under a green light, basking in the feminine power of its gilded gold edges and strawberry pink petals. This rose had a job to do, and it was time to activate. Activations. Molly McBottoms sat sunning herself alongside the tansy rose, who exuded a masculine power that was so strong Molly had to fan herself with the miniature Japanese fan she had found on her last adventure outdoors. Someone had thrown out an entire miniature home in the dustbins, and she had enlisted the help of Greer to transport the small gypsy caravan with the miniature silk rug, small outdoor table and chairs, and mini kitchen setup. But that Japanese fan had captured Molly's attention above all else. Somehow, when she fanned it in front of her, she could see into other worlds. And those other worlds had messages for her. And the messages foretold of a great adventure coming for Rosalie and Calvin, and whatever it was being kept tightly guarded. The only thing the spirits of the Japanese fan would say was that it was really, really good. Well, Molly wasn't one to believe blindly. She did have immense faith, but she was also level-headed in a sort of, I'll believe it when I see it fairy. The rose of San Juan Capistrano poofed out a strawberry-scented vibe, and Calvin turned to look towards the inner garden room. He had to get back to his job at the School of Herbs where, based on all the gardening class knowledge he had acquired, he had been hired on as a master herbalist. It's funny how once you put your mind to something, you can achieve anything. But as soon as he had started, the Rose of San Juan Capistrano would be calling him and Rosalie away from Tessa Loch, and to a new town where magic and mystery were waiting. I just have to pause. These stories. These stories, more than anything, just, I don't know. When they come out, I'm like, what? I've never heard of these things before. All right, anyway. See, I don't know what comes out until I channel a chapter, so it's like very delightful. Plays with my inner child. The town of Whistling Gulch was calling, and it wanted someone to come and bring the light. This little town had seen its fair share of down times, and had put out a call to the angels for guidance and assistance. Whistling Gulch was deep in the forest of the forbidden bears, and deep within the perimeter of Tessa Loch's jurisdiction, but that wouldn't stop the powers that be. They wanted Calvin and Rosalie on this assignment, and even though the pair wasn't actively aware of their bringers of the light service work, they always stepped forward when called upon. They would realize it soon enough. But for now, there was a dark force in the... I can't even talk right. There was a dark force in the forest of forbidden bears, and Whistling Gulch had had enough. The cell phone dinged on the kitchen counter, and Calvin stepped over Catamancy to retrieve it. Did you know that cat wizards had the power to make a cell phone call? Golly, maybe that's for another time. I definitely did not read this again before we're doing it today. I don't know when I wrote this. Hello, Calvin said politely, even though the caller ID said potential spam. Hello, this is Wendy Willington calling from Whistling Gulch Retreat. Wendy, a.k.a. Mrs. Smitherton of Bringers of the Light HQ, said into the telephone, "Are you the man of the house?" Which, of course, she knew full well that he was. "Well, yes, I am," Calvin said politely again, "but before you go any further," he didn't want to go to another timeshare presentation. "Well, it's your lucky day," Mrs. Smitherton said, smiling from ear to ear. "You've won an all-expense-paid getaway to Whistling Gulch Mountain Retreat, no strings attached." She paused only briefly. "But we didn't enter any contest," Calvin said, although he had recalled Rosalie filling out a contest entry form at the last autumn festival. "We would like to offer you this brief vacation getaway with all the trimmings," Mrs. Smitherton said, hoping he wouldn't hang up. She did have other ways of getting her point across, but she didn't like to ping people mentally if she didn't have to. "I'll have to talk it over with my love," Calvin said, always uncertain how he should refer to Rosalie when speaking to others. Was she his other half? Soulmate? Better half? Life partner? He still wasn't sure, but he did know love, and so he liked to call her that every chance he got. "We can send a limo for you and a guest this Friday if you like," Mrs. Smitherton said, pushing with her mind. "You'll find everything you need to know about this in your email and on our website. You can even call our main office and get references if you're unsure." Of course, that phone number went straight to HQ main office. As Calvin was ho-humming about this whole strange situation, the flowers and plants in the inner garden room were listening. Catamancy rose and slightly padded into the room and up to Greer. These voices. "Project Light 101 is about to commence," he mentally said to Greer. "We need to be ready." Greer nodded in agreement and understanding and put down his dust cloth. "No, Greer, don't put down your dust cloth. Get back to work." No, he would have work to do in order to ready the Rose of San Juan Capistrano for travel, but it wasn't anything he hadn't done before. Molly McBottoms put the Japanese fan down and said a silent prayer. Her guardians were getting a special assignment, one that would stretch their relationship, bringing them closer together and activating their light bodies to an even higher degree of spiritual power, as I hold up the Cosmic Self card. She must help the others to get ready, she thought, pulling a tapestry travel bag. I swear some of these are like labials. What is it? The dancing butterflies. It's a King of the Hill reference. She must help the others. It's something about voice exercises. It makes my lips, sometimes the words make my lips like, oh, what a tapestry travel bag. She must help the others to get ready, she thought, pulling a tapestry travel bag from the hole in the wall of the little corner garden. They were going on a quest. All right, you guys, so I don't want to make this last too much longer, but it looks like obviously new beginnings, these attunements and light and stuff coming in to assist everybody with a special emphasis this week, it looks like, on the higher attunements for divine partnerships, or for those of you calling in divine partnerships. So we've got a separate show series on this podcast called Knights and Ladies, Knights on White Horses and Ladies in Waiting. We did an intro show to that to kind of give you a little idea of what it's all about and who it might be best attuned for. So if you're interested and that's calling to you, you can go back and listen to that show. It's only a couple back in the podcast or on YouTube. And then I kind of committed to doing something with that every month. So it looks like Project Lightwork 101. I see a lot in the chapter about divine service work. Those of you, and we already talked about a lot of this in the Seraphim's Gateway Attunements show, so I don't want to go too much more into it again as repeats, but a lot of it is you're being called up to higher levels of divine service work. It could mean upgrades in the work that you're doing, new partners or partnerships or soul contracts. Something that's more highly aligned and higher vibrating with you is coming in to assist. Those of you that are already in divine partnership with someone, those relationships, those soul contracts, those assignments are being taken to the next level with the start of this 12/12 to 12/21 Seraphim's Gateway. So see what starts showing up for you in the week ahead. And we will come back next week. I do kind of have a teaser because chapter 2 is called The Quest Begins, sort of. So we'll see what that means. And until then, let's see. Do I want to draw one final card? Let me just draw one little more card from my Happy Cloud deck and see what the Happy Cloud has to say. Check in. Your guides are trying to reach you. Yeah, so pay attention to the signs. This has been coming up a lot. Pay attention to the signs that you've been getting, the synchronicity, serendipity. Give yourself some time to think, to process, to receive these downloads of what's going to be happening next. And with all that being said, I will go on my merry way now, and I will leave you all to ponder that. And we will talk to you all again soon. Take care.